In November 2024, I had the honor of attending the Earthshot Awards hosted in Cape Town. In rooms, spaces, and even boats filled with people making a difference, I knew I had to play my part the best way I know how, through storytelling. So journey with me as I sit down with some of the most innovative people in Africa who are repairing our planet by protecting and restoring nature, cleaning our air, reviving our oceans, building a waste-free world, and fixing our climate, and might I add, empowering women all over Africa. My takeaway? No action is too small. We can all do something. So I ask you, how will you play a part in saving this place we call home and impacting another person? Hello, Wisdom and Wellness family. Welcome to another episode with Earthshot, where we are putting a spotlight on some incredible companies that are bringing solutions to all the issues that we have. And today we've got two incredible ladies from Mobility for Africa. We've got Anesu and Skha. Welcome, ladies.
Thank you.
Thank you for having us, Bomi.
Thank you. It's not your first time in South Africa, right?
No.
No, you said you've been here for holiday, Cape Town and Durban.
Yes.
So I'm going to start with you, Anesu. I want you to share, it can be a quote or a saying, an African proverb, any line or sentence, a word that you live by that guides your life.
I think I would say never give up.
Okay.
Yeah. I think there are times like that I've been through something. It would take a long time to go through what it is, but never give up, because eventually I did get there. So yeah.
That's a nice motto. And for you, Skha?
And it's not over until it's over. So some of the things you just don't let them go. You just have to pursue until you get there.
Yeah, to persevere. And yes, I'm going to go back to you. And I mean, you guys are you've been with Mobility for Africa since 2023 and Skha more recently. But you have an incredible background in engineering. You're an engineer, right? And I'm interested to know why that career choice. In fact, let's start here. I'm interested in your background. What was your upbringing like? What kind of home did you live in? Did you grow up in?
Okay. So I went to high school, primary school, high school, and university in Zimbabwe.
Yeah.
I grew up in a household with 3 older brothers, but the age gap between us is quite big. So I basically grew up as an only child and the only girl. So life was good.
Comfortable, soft.
Yes.
And what made you decide to go the engineering route? And especially, I mean, I know there's more women in engineering right now, but it's still quite okay, are you going that route, you know?
I think it was kind of boiled down to what I was good at.
Yeah.
So I tried really hard with history. I loved my history teacher in high school, but it just didn't come naturally to me. So the sciences were more of my thing. And then I think I then just narrowed it down and found that engineering was the way that I wanted to go.
So tell me actually, and I'm going to ask both of you, if you had to break down in simple terms, what does Mobility for Africa actually do? What does the impact look like on a daily basis?
I would say that Mobility for Africa brings last mile mobility to the rural areas. So how I would explain that is the rural areas we have in Zimbabwe is like farms, maybe, but they are very far from the main roads. It's like the dust roads, and it's kind of like isolated society. So that distance between where all the buses, all the transport is, and where people live, there's quite a gap in between that.
Yeah.
So I think we're trying to cover that gap as well. And I would also say that we are empowering women mainly, because our model focuses on having 80% women and 20% men only.
Sure.
We want to focus on helping women empower themselves. With that tricycle, they can collect water, they can do the wood, carry wood. we've also found that with them being able to pilot some schemes where they can carry things for people in their tricycles, they are more empowered. They have more money.
Yeah.
They're bringing money into the household. And you find that in societies like that, women are very, I don't know what word to use, but the men have more power over them.
Oppressed? Is that the word?
Oppressed,
Yeah,
yes.
yeah.
They're oppressed. So with this, it's helps them to be more empowered. They can look after their families.
Sure.
They can look after themselves. They don't have to ask for money for
Yeah,
everything.
Yeah,
So,
I love that.
Yeah.
Skha, just leaning on that, I mean, I did a little bit of research on the HAMBA. That's what you call, which is literally go. In
Yes.
Zulu, right? Ndebele, in your case. And it is the first African electric off-road tricycle. And I actually read here that it can carry goods of people of up to 400 kilograms. Is that correct?
Yes, it's correct.
And with a bench, this was interesting for me, is that the seat is of a bench that's designed actually for women, and dare I say African women.
Yes.
So for you, and I think you work closely with this, how important was it to actually be so selective about the seats, especially considering that you're bridging the gap of people who want to isolate it too. Most of the women are oppressed and they need to be lifted up. So how important was the design of it, the seating and all those decisions?
The designing of the seat was very important because when you just sit there, you feel like you are a driver. Even if when you haven't tried to drive it,
You feel like-
that seat it really gives you some confidence
Yeah.
to feel that I'm a woman and I can drive. Then when you start revving that tricycle, then there's no going back.
Yeah.
It's a very comfortable and it gives a lot of room. And even your legs are very comfortable.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And so what about improving transportation of rural communities? Touch you so much that you dedicated your expertise to the solution. I mean, you're an engineer. I think you could have gone different directions. And although, yes, your lecturer introduced you, but what has kept you so passionate? Because I mean, I wouldn't call it the fanciest job, and you're young, you've got options. So what about that, bringing those solutions, has touched you?
I think I would say, well, when I came to Mobility for Africa, I was a volunteer.
Yeah.
And I think my boss's passion really touched me. She is so on fire about trying to help the African woman make something of herself, do better. So I think that's when it started to open my eyes that there actually is a problem. I think sometimes we forget about the rural lady.
Correct.
And that's when I realized there's actually something that needs to be addressed here. And I'm learning in this EV space that's still kind of untouched in Africa. So I think even though it's not maybe the most luxurious job, there's so much to learn in this space. And I feel like I'm getting ahead still, you know. This is an upcoming space. So
Yeah.
advantages from both sides. I'm learning what's up and coming and still helping the rural lady.
Other people, yeah.
Yeah.
Skha, do you have a personal story, or did you, growing up, I'm not sure how you grew up, but did you grow up in the rurals, or do you have family where this was an issue and now you find yourself realizing that actually you're part of a solution?
I grew up in rural areas.
Yeah.
Yeah, in mobility for Africa, I think there is a solution in terms of we grow up carrying firewood to going to fetch water, maybe sometimes with ingola, you see.
Wheelbarrow, eh? Yeah.
And that scotch cat.
Yeah.
With cows. And one day I dropped. We had an accident with that cow. So when I saw mobility using the scooters, those tricycles helping women, I think it's a very big solution because some cars are very dangerous, especially the ox-driven ones. So I think it's a very big change.
So this solution is not just about a job, but even the health sector is impacted because now like people are able to get immunization.
Yes.
When people are sick,
Yes.
I'm talking 2025 in the rural areas in Zimbabwe, it's a matter of like being pulled by an ox cart.
Yes. Some places, the clinics are so far away. We're really talking some really rural areas.
Yeah.
Yes, some clinics are so too far. They can't just be reached. So so you find them with the tricycles now, they are being helped. They even calling door to door to help
Sure.
people. So well, you find there are those who are maybe taking some medicines like BP medicine
Yeah.
or ARV. They can just go around and giving them. Or you find some will be just not getting healthy, or some might die because they can't get
They
to the
can't
clinic.
get.
Yes.
Sure, because
Okay.
of distance.
Yes.
And I'm going to bring it back, just leaning on that. How much do you think transport impacts, or how much impact does the lack of transport have on poverty and just to have a normal life? Because like the more you guys are talking, it's opening my mind. And I mean, obviously I did a bit of research, but for me it's like, oh yeah, you get to get around with a tricycle and it's green energy and it's amazing. But now you've unpacked something that the health sector is involved, and I want to lean into poverty. How big is the effect of the lack of proper transport on poverty?
I think it's got a huge impact. Take, for example, if you have a farm and then you farm tobacco,
Yeah.
but you're going to need to travel a really long distance for you to get to where you're going to sell your tobacco. You then have to hire a truck and pay a lot of money for you to get there. Because you're not exposed to that normal community, you're also likely to get stolen from when you go there. So I feel like there is a big gap between the city and the rural area. And because that gap hasn't been bridged, there's a lot of things that people in that area don't know. And it leads to more and more poverty. But as we link the two together, we can change that.
Sure. And I think my last question to both of you: how has being part of a solution of changing other people's lives changed you and impacted your life personally?
I think it's been very rewarding
Yeah.
to see that the work that you put in is actually helping someone else, you know. Yeah, it's been beautiful to see women, like she said. For me personally, I've seen women at the sites. You see them when they first get their HAMBAs, then you come back after a few months and you can see the physical change.
Yeah.
They look better, they look healthier, they look happier, and it's good to be part of that.
I love that. Skha?
It has been quite an exciting event. I think also discovering myself also, because there are some cases when you look at someone, you look at, but I was once like that. So I've improved my life in such a way that someone is just improving. So
Sure.
it's so very exciting.
Yeah.
It's a quite a good journey. So like what she's saying, you see someone getting a bike, you say, if only she could just do this. And you see this, the next day they come, I've bought a TV,
Sure.
my son is going to school,
Oh,
I've paid some. So you see, to me, it has changed me to say that I'm making an impact to someone.
What does a day of impact at the end of the day, when you sit down and you say, I've done well, I've impacted a life, I've changed something, look like for you, both of you? What does it look like? What does it feel like?
I think it's very also humbling. I think because earlier we were talking about how the HAMBA has also aided in sending children to school, right?
Yeah.
And we were talking about how in the rural areas, in some areas, like the very isolated areas, girls were getting married as young as 13, 14. They have children so early, there's no time for them to really like figure out who they want to be.
Sure.
And I think when you put yourself in that position, like if that was me, I wouldn't have been able to achieve any of the things that I've achieved. So when you see that you're making a difference and people no longer have to be in that situation, it's very, very humbling, fulfilling, feels great.
I love that.
Yeah.
Thank you so much, ladies. And I think the work that you're doing is great. Reaching out to those who are isolated, and I think I can see that the trend here is putting impact over non-profit. And with all the stories, what I'm gathering is that it's generational change. I think when a woman is empowered, the whole family is empowered. The work you guys are doing is incredible, and I hope you continue. And I'm so grateful for Earthshot for putting a spotlight on the work that you do, and I hope it continues further and further, and that you reach more and more villages. All right.
Thank you so
Thank
much.
you so much.
Thank you. Thank you so much, Wisdom and Wellness. And my question to you is, what can you do in your own capacity to make a difference in the lives of others? It doesn't have to be massive, but it's just one small act that can lead to so much great change. Thank you.